I'm tired. I'm tired, chat. I'm tired. I just want to talk straight facts and objectivity on what is going on right now at Spurs. I am tired of the constant media noise. I'm tired of the constant online social media stuff. I just want to talk straight facts and objectivity of whether, number one, the Tottenham squad is garbage and they're not good enough, or number two, Thomas Frank is not the right manager to take us forward and he is the problem. Or is it somewhat of both of these things combined? I'm going to lay out straight facts and objectivity of real things that are happening right now at this current moment and what has happened last season. And we're going to analyze and break down everything. And then you guys can form your opinion on what is actually going on at the moment and what you think is the main problem here at Tottenham Hotspur. And of course, like, subscribe, please. It helps the channel grow. And it gives me a peace of mind because I am going insane from this team. So it would mean a lot to me if you like and subscribe. And I'm not going to waste your guys' time. Let's just dive right into this. Alright, so I've compiled main points of contention in terms of what has happened this season versus last season. And we're going to go right through this row by row by row by row. So number one, the injury excuse is dead and the numbers prove it. This season we have had a little bit of an injury crisis. At one point, it was kind of bad at one point, but for the most part, we've stayed relatively healthy, and Romero and Van de Ven have both been available for Thomas Frank, which Anne did not have the luxury of last season and the season before that. So for the most part, Tottenham have been pretty okay when it comes to injuries, at least compared to last season. So last season, Spurs had a staggering 1,553 player days to injury, which that was the second worst injury crisis in the entire Premier League, only behind Brighton at that point. And Spurs had a 41 separate injury cases last season, and it absolutely destroyed our campaign, as we know. Now here's the bombshell. This season, Tottenham have suffered 9% fewer injuries and lost 5% fewer days to sidelined players compared to last season. So we're literally healthier this year than we were the season that we finished 17th. And at this current pace right now, we're on pace to do a similar type of thing, which is scary. And James Maddison obviously is out with an ACL injury from the preseason, and he won't return for a while. And obviously Kulusevski is out, recovering from the knee injury, and Uduggi's been silent as well a couple times this season, and obviously Dom Solanke is also out as well. But the bodies that are in there to replace those players, you could argue as the squad as a whole, is better this season compared to last season. And the thing that makes this pretty unforgivable at this current moment is the main fact that, like we said, last season's injury crisis was way worse compared to this season. So relatively, Frank has a lot of the players that he actually brought in: Xavi Simons, Paulinho, Kudus, and Kolomoani. And you could argue that the players that he brought in is enough to supplement the losses that we had last season. You can make an argument. All right, so main point of contention number two is when you actually analyze up to this point, this season compared to last season, it actually looks even worse for Thomas Frank. Right now, Tottenham are sitting 13th place in the Premier League with 6 wins, 4 draws, and 6 losses after 17 games. And depending on what happens with Fulham, it could be worse than that. We could be sitting 14th. And Spurs have scored 26 goals and conceded 23 and are sitting on 22 points. And last season at this exact point, we were of course in a very similar situation, but as we know, there was a major injury crisis. So that makes you question, if the injury crisis isn't here this season, then why are we still in a very similar position? So this season we have a healthier squad, we have better availability, and somehow we're just performing even worse. And at least last season, if you actually look at it, we weren't that bad in some of these games. A lot of these games at this point were close. It was only towards maybe February, maybe like late January, where the results started getting really bad, where we started to get blown out of games. Last season in December and November, the games were actually really close. We were losing games by just 1 goal. And that's with playing Archie Gray and Ryder Dragusin as center backs. So it begs your question as to the results that we're seeing this season at this current point. Why have the performances been so shocking with the amount of quality that we have in the squad at this current moment? And if you don't believe me, I'll show you guys. So we're going to go from November games up until any game before December 25th. So let's look at last season. So a lot of these games we lost by 1 goal, or we had some really good results. And a lot of these games as well, if we had the better quality, we could have won these games. And I'll even click on some of these and I'll show you guys. Galatasaray, I mean, this one was pretty bad, but 2.01 expected goals, so we're right on our goals expected. But if you look at our lineup, it was shambolic. Like, look at this: Lancashire, Johnson, like Basuma, Madison, Bergvall, Dragus, and Ben Davies as center backs, and Gray, Foster. Like, this is horrible. This squad is like relegation fodder right here. So if you look at that one, that's that one. If you look at also Ipswich as well, the possession stats were there, the expected goals were there. We should have had almost close to another goal, but we just didn't take our chances. And if you look at the lineup as well, same thing. I mean, we had Romero there, we had Dragus, and yeah, this is a bit of a stronger lineup, and this was a shocker. But again, we should have taken our chances. But that was a pretty bad result as well. But we had the 4-0 against Man City, 2-2 Roma, wasn't the greatest. But the Bournemouth lost 1-0. Again, if you have a look at this one was a shocker. I will admit that. And this one was a horrible shocker. But we had a whole bunch of possession. And the narrative around this season was that we had a whole bunch of possession, but nothing to show for it. So this is some of the things that we were dealing with last season. But if we had better quality in this one with all the possession, we could have potentially done more. Now let's look at 3-4 Chelsea. This one was horrible. We always lose to Chelsea. But again, 1 goal. It was close. 2.9 expected goals. This game was a shootout. This game was an absolute shootout. It was all over the place. It was madness. But again, the goals, the possession, like, it was all there. But we were dealing with a whole bunch of injuries. It was all over the place. It was crazy. It was madness. Rangers 1-1. Then we had the Southampton. We beat United. This was a vote against Liverpool. This one was bad. I will admit that. It was horrible. And that leads up to all the fixtures before December 25th. Now, if we look at this season, we obviously had the 1-0 to Chelsea. But as we know, this game was horrendous. 0.1 expected goals for. This was one of the most frustrating watches that I've ever had watching Spurs. It was drastically horrible to even watch. No big chances, 3 total shots. I don't even know if we had any on target. Let's have a look here if we even had a shot on target. We had 1 shot on target throughout the entire game against Chelsea. So this game was shocking. We had 0.1 expected goals. Yeah, it was only 1-0, but it was a horrible performance. One of the worst. Then we had Copenhagen, which was good, but again, it's Copenhagen. And then United 2-2 draw. Obviously, the Arsenal game, again, horrendous. 0.07 expected goals. Absolutely nothing done. 3 total shots again. Like, this one was just, again, the 1 goal that we had was the Richarlison one from halfway line where Raya did a madness. So, looking at some of these fixtures and these results, again, PSG 5-3. This one was a bit better. This one was better, actually. The expected goals were up there, but still just nowhere near where we needed it to be. But this one was better, so we'll give this to Thomas Frank. But still, 5-3 is crazy for a manager that was brought in to add stability to the team. 2-1 against Fulham as well, same thing. The XG was just not there at all. This is another shocking performance, and it just wasn't good enough at all. Mistakes were being made. It was horrible. And if we go through it, 2-2 Newcastle. This one was a good result from Thomas Frank. And the Brentford one was probably our best game of the season. And then Slavia Prague as well was a good follow-up. And then obviously Nottingham Forest happened, where we lost 3-0. And again, one of the most toughest watches of the season, where we're just have no creative mind. It's 0.33 expected goals. Not even 1 goal we expected to score. Just not good enough. And then obviously Liverpool game that happened. Again, in this game now, we showed a bunch of guts and effort, but still, again, not good enough and doesn't get the result. So when you contrast those two situations and you throw in the factor of how we had the injury crisis, it looks pretty bad for good old Thomas Frank. And this leads into my next point, where if you compare a lot of the lineups as well from last season compared to this season, it also doesn't look good for Thomas Frank. Again, just having a look up the lineup against Villa: Son, Solanke, Johnson, Kulusevski, Bentancur, Sarr, Dragus, and Romero. So not our first choice back four that we had there. If we have a look at the Galatasaray game, same thing, the lineups. Like I said, Johnson, Lancashire, Son, Basuma, just not good enough. Dragusin, Davis, Forster, and net. Horrible stuff there. Have a look at the Ipswich game and the lineup. There's enough to beat Ipswich in this one for sure, but still, no Van de Ven, not first choice back four. But the quality still was there, still was good enough at that point. But then I think after the Ipswich game, that's where it all fell apart 4-0 against City. If you have a look at this and some of the injuries that we had, it doesn't make for good readings. Kulusevski, Heung-min Son, Madison Basuma-Sarr. Again, Davis and Dragusin center backs. It was shambolic that we got 4-0 out of this game. That's ridiculous. I don't think this would ever happen this season. If you look at the Roma game as well, in the Europa League rotation, same thing. Davis, Dragusin center backs, Gray as left back. It's just like, what are we doing? If you go to the next games, I look at the Fulham 1-1, see the lineup in this match. Again, Son as striker, Werner, Johnson, Madison Basuma-Sarr, Davis, Dragusin. Like, again, it was just consistent of not having options. If you look at the bench, Gray, Bergvall, Lancashire coming on. There was no options there. Let's keep going. Look at Bournemouth, same thing. Slinky, Johnson, Kulusevski, Sarr, Madison Basuma, Dragusin, Davis, still center back, Gray there. Bench options, Son, Porro, Bergvall, Werner. Again, lacking major quality in that sense. So, like, guys, if you keep going through this, there's a whole bunch here. Let's look at the Liverpool 6-3 at this point as well. Slanky, Madison, Son, Kulusevski, Sarr, Basuma, Gray, Gray, Dragusin, like the bench, Bergvall, Brennan, Werner. We had no bench. It was just our starting 11. We had literally no bench. Our bench was just kids at this point throughout all of these games. And if you look at this season compared to who we can actually bring on, like if you look at our lineup, Mawani, Gray, Bentancur, Bergvall, Sarr. Mind you, this is a Gray and Bergvall that have had a whole season already, so they're experienced now. And this is a Spence that is revived as well. First choice back four for the most part. You bring on Brennan Johnson, Paulinho, Odegaard, Richarlison. Like, we have a much better bench in these games. Same thing in this match as well against Forest. Look at the bench. We have Paulinho, Bergvall, Johnson, Tell, Davis, Sarr's there, Odegaard is still there. Like, we have a whole leap of options there. Pretty much first choice back four as well. Click on another one, even Arsenal match that we got blown out in. Like, if you look at this lineup as well, Richarlison, Kudus, Odegaard, Bentancur, Paulinho, Dougie, Spence, Danzel there, Romero, Van de Ven, Simmons on the bench, Sarr, Mwani, Porro, Brennan, Gray's still there, Bergvall's still there, Tell's still there. Like, the comparison of quality from this squad compared to last season, this squad is better, bro. Let's just be objective. This squad is better. And I know it sounds like I'm really like going deep in on Thomas Frank, but I'm actually not. I promise you I'm actually not. I'm actually trying to look at this objectively, but the truths are the truths. This squad is better than last season, no matter what you want to say. The bench depth as a whole is by far way better than we had it last season. And the main point that I will say, though, that actually favors Thomas Frank here, and that's main point number 4, for those who are keeping track, is the lack of a superstar. So obviously there's no Son Heung-min anymore. This was a massive loss. This was a player that could get us a wonder goal out of nowhere, a nice curler shot from outside of the box that goes into the net, a superstar that can run in deep, attack fullbacks, and really just have a shot out of anywhere and have a high chance of scoring, and has that excellent finishing quality that gives defenders a lot to think about. We don't have this anymore. We have, the closest thing to that is Mohamed Kudus now, and even he's not on the level of Son was. So there's a big lack of star quality in the squad, and this is where I actually have a lot of empathy for Thomas Frank, because he doesn't have that one player that he can call on to, like, yeah, this is my guy, he's gonna save us. Let's go through the other teams really quickly. Arsenal, they have Saka, Rice, Eze, Odegaard, a whole bunch of stars in that. Saliba, Gabriel. Go through Chelsea, they have Palmer. Well, Palmer's really their big one for the most part, but they have, you know, they have Caicedo there as well. Like, they have some good stars in there too. Man City, obviously, they have Holland, they have Cherk, you know, is balling out. They have Doku there, that can be a huge threat for them. If you go through Liverpool, I mean, Liverpool has a whole heap of stars, even though Wirtz has been crap, but let's be real. Wirtz, Isak, Ekitike, Salah when he was on it, like, they have a whole bunch of stars in that setup as well. Shabazalai, and then even United, they have Mbumo, they have Cunha there. Spurs don't have a real top star. They really just don't at this point, unfortunately. And for the guys that are saying that the squad is crap, this point proves this exactly. We don't have enough star firepower that can save us from these games, so the responsibilities are going to have to be shared collectively throughout the group, aka guys like Richarlison have to step up, Mwani, Odegaard, Tell, Bergvall, the Grays, the Kuduses, they all have to step up and fill the void of not having a star. But the unfortunate reality is that these players haven't been able to do this in seasons past for the most part, so they're having to have a lot of pressure on them to really step up for the lack of goals that are missing from this team. When you compare it to other teams, like I said, they have all these stars that can bail them out of nowhere, that can drag you through some of these matches. Sometimes you just need a guy that's like, yes, I will just do this and I'll save you guys one game. How many times have we seen Harry Kane save us? Son save us? We don't got that no more. We just don't have that anymore. The lack of star quality pins our ability to get through a lot of these games, because sometimes you just need a miracle to save you from a match. And Tottenham don't have that. The squad lacks the elite individual quality that separates top 4 teams from mid-table teams. Also, real quick, if you're enjoying this breakdown, drop a comment below telling me whether you think it's the squad that is the problem or if Thomas Frank is the bigger problem. I want to hear from you guys. Also, make sure that you're subscribed as well with notifications on, because I've got more Spurs content coming for you guys in the new year, so you don't want to miss anything that's coming up. Main point number 5 is the good old XG story. Listen, I know XG isn't for everyone, but there is something to say about XG when I think the numbers that pop up are weighing outside of the norm. AKA, if you have XG that is wildly high, I think that there's something to be said about that. Or if you have XG that is wildly low, then there is also something to be said about that as well. And in our case, it's the latter. Our XG this season is just 1.18 per match. And then our expected goals against is 1.36 per match in the Premier League, which means that we're expected to concede more goals than we are actually supposed to score. That math doesn't really add up. Right now, Tottenham's taking an average of 9.56 shots per match, with only 3.25 being on target. That's an absolutely terrible conversion rate, and you're not creating high quality chances either. Compared to that, the top teams of Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City have XG's numbers all higher than 1.5. And this isn't just bad finishing, you're not generating dangerous opportunities in the first place. You're having to rely on players to have these wild, world-beating, crazy goals. And we've seen a lot of those. We've seen Richarlison do it like numerous of times. We've seen Kudus do it. We've seen Paulinho do it. Like, we have all these times where we have these crazy low XG goals. And this is a result of the system not being able to allow for creativity and high creative chances to be fulfilled in the players in the squad. So yeah, I mean, this one's on Thomas Frank. He sets up the team, he sets up the squad in the way that he wants, that allows them to get these high XG chances, and he's not setting up the team in a way that gets them these high XG chances. So you can't blame injuries, you can't blame the players on this one, because it's his team that sets up the players to get into these good positions to score. All right, so main point number 6, and I actually call this point the good games problem. When you look at the list of teams that Spurs have played well against this season, you'll realize that the level of competition is absolutely embarrassing. So let's just go through every single good game we've had this season. August 16th, Burnley, newly promoted side, expected to be relegation candidates, and we should beat them, of course. August 23rd, Man City, very great result, very good, but here's the thing, Spurs always beat City. It's basically a tradition at this point. Every manager that we had has beaten City. It's not the greatest flex as we think it is. It was a really good performance, I'm not taking that away from him, but everyone does it. So, and let's just be honest, we caught them at a really good time. We did. Ever since that game, Man City have ticked up and up and up. We caught them at a really good time, guys. We really did. September 20th, Brighton comeback draw. Listen, we were losing and we scraped a draw against a mid-table side. That's really what it is. November 4th, Copenhagen in the Champions League. Danish team. I mean, bro, it's Copenhagen. Like, come on. No disrespect, bro. But come on, guys. Like, we're really gonna take this performance and be like, yeah, this is it. Guys, like, really? December 6th, Brentford. Now, this was probably Thomas Frank's best performance as his time at Tottenham Hotspur. It's a solid mid-table team. They're not elite competition, but I mean, they're doing their thing, Brentford. And Thomas Frank did what he should have done and beat them, and it was a really good job. Really good job. And then after that, like, what else can you say? Like, maybe Slavia Prague December 9th, but even in this game in the Champions League, we shipped a lot of chances against Slavia Prague. If there was any better team that was out there on that day, they would have gotten at least 2 goals against us. So even with this 3-0, I don't think that was that good of a performance. And then on top of that, 2 of our goals were from penalties, and I think one of them was an own goal as well. So it's like we're grasping at straws for what has really been good performances this season, versus we can't really identify 5 games where, like, yeah, this is the blueprint. I can only really name like maybe 2 or 3 tops are like, yeah, this was 100% well deserved against good level competition. There is none. There is none. Every single time we've come up against top level opposition, we've gotten slapped up. We've gotten battered. And even times we've come up against lower opposition and we've still gotten battered. Nottingham Forest game, Wolves even. There's something to be said about the players at this point, because if we have these odd results where we have these good performances, but then the other times we have horrible performances, if we're seeing these inconsistent performances, that says something about the level of the squad, and that maybe they're not good enough to have these consistent performances on a consistent basis. Main point of contention number 7, the squad quality gap. Let's be real, guys. We're not in the same league as the big boys anymore. We've fallen off a cliff, unfortunately. We have. Let's just do a ruthless position by position comparison with the top 4. AKA, let's just compare it to Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man City. Let's just take those teams. Vicario is good, but is he better than Raya, Allison, or Ederson? Probably not. Defense, Romero and Van de Ven are solid, but I mean, listen, I like them both. I still rate them highly, but on a consistent basis, Gabriel and Saliba, I mean, hey, that's the top one. But I guess outside of that, I think our defense is actually like the strongest point of our team. Midfield, I mean, dude, the midfield is a mess. I don't know if any one of our players gets into Arsenal's midfield. I don't know if there's a single one. I don't think they get into City's midfield either, or Liverpool's, or Chelsea's. That says a lot. That says a lot. And then the attack. This is where it gets even worse. The attack. So whenever we do combined 11s, the one player that most of these teams take is Son, because everyone rates Son. But now, bro, the only one that has a sniff, the only one that has a sniff of getting into top sides anymore is probably Kudus. But if you compare Kudus to Saka, Saka probably gets in over Kudus. Maybe Kudus gets into Chelsea's team. Does he get into City's team? I don't know. Probably not. Does he get into Liverpool's team? Maybe. But that's the one position that we can actually say that like that might be the one strong suit. Besides that, besides Mohamed Kudus, our strikers don't get anywhere near half these teams. Our left wingers is cooked compared to these other teams. It's bad, guys. It's really, really bad. It's so bad. So this is where I'm like, yeah, the squad is really bad. It's horrible. So here's where we land after looking at all of the evidence. Is the problem the players, or is it Thomas Frank? The answer is that it's both. Thomas Frank isn't getting the maximum out of the squad. The tactics are predictable, the XG numbers are terrible, and you're only looking good against weak opposition. But at the same time, this squad is fundamentally limited. You lost your captain and best player in Son, and you don't have the replacements at that level. You don't have the elite quality in every position that the top 4 teams possess. And the injury excuse is dead. You're healthier than last season, and you're still mid-table. That suggests coaching issues. But you're also asking Frank to compete with squads that are simply more talented than yours across the board. But the real question Spurs fans need to ask is what's actually achievable in this current squad. Is any European competition realistic in terms of qualification? Conference League, Europa League, dare I say Champions League? At this point, I don't even know. Maybe Conference League, maybe Europa League, but Champions League is a far cry. FA Cup even, far cry. Not with this group, no chance. Frank needs to improve tactically. The XG numbers and performance levels against good teams prove that, but the board also need to back him with better players in January and the next summer if he even gets that far. And particularly in attack, where you desperately need someone who can score 15 to 20 goals a season. Guys, the split in the fan base exists because you're both right. Frank could be doing better, but he's also working with limitations. That's not an excuse, it's just reality. You guys are both right. The squad is not good enough, but Frank also isn't. But here is my final question to you guys, and I really want you guys to think about this. If you could only fix one thing, either replace Thomas Frank with a different manager or bring in 3 world-class signings in January, which one would you choose? Because Spurs probably can't do both. Drop your answer in the comment sections below and let's just debate it, let's talk about it. And if you've made it to the end of this video, you're a real one for real. And subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Like the video. Come on, you Spurs.